Right now, there's something happening in the skies that hasn't happened since the 1960s. And this astrological event will not only make February of 2021 the most intense month of the year, but the energies we're feeling right now will also set the stage for the rest of the year. Are you ready to learn how to use this energy? Yes, I am! Yeah! Yeah! In this video, you'll learn what astrological event is happening right now, and then I'm going to share my top 4 tips on how to use this energy to propel you forward beyond anything you thought possible. Coming up! Hello, beautiful soul! This is Christina Lopes, the Heart Alchemist, here to help you open your heart, heal your past, and live with purpose. If you're new to my videos, click on that subscribe button and also on the bell so you get notified as soon as I publish new content. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, where I share weekly tips and advice that you won't find here on YouTube. Okay, on to part 1 of the video, the astrology transit that's happening right now. So we're in a really special time. Like I said in the intro, this astrological event hasn't happened since the 1960s, so this is a really powerful month that's going to set the stage for the whole year. And that astrological event happening right now is something that's known as a stellium in astrology. Okay, so a stellium is when there are 3 or more planets that are conjunct or lined up within the same zodiac sign. Okay, so that's what a stellium is. 3 or more planets lined up within the same zodiac sign. It's called a stellium. And get this particular stellium, there are 7 planets lined up in the zodiac sign of Aquarius. You see, very interesting, because at the end of the year, at the end of 2020, I started talking about how we were starting to enter this new age of Aquarius. We were transiting from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and what that all meant, what the opening up of the energy meant. Well, guess what? We're here in February, and now we have this stellium where there are 7 planets aligned with each other, and they're aligned with each other in the sign of Aquarius. So that really intensifies the beginning of this Aquarian age, all right? So here are the 7 planets that are lined up right now. So the planets that are lined up are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and the asteroid that's known as Pallas. Whoo! That's a lot of planets lined up in this sign of Aquarius. Again, hasn't happened since the 1960s. And so that's what this stellium is really about. These are the 7 planets. This is all of the intense energy occurring in this same sign of Aquarius. And there are 2 particularities of Aquarius that are really, really playing out with this stellium. And I want to talk about those 2 things. The first aspect of Aquarius that's really playing out in this stellium is the aspect of swift change. Okay, swift changes. And what that means is that this energy, remember, Aquarius is an air sign. Okay, so Aquarius is an air sign. Ding, ding. Aquarius is an air sign, which means that it brings in the energy of that air element, very expansive, very just like wind moving through. And so this swift change aspect is very, very common with air signs, especially Aquarius right now in this particular time. It's not just about the particularities of the sign, but it's about the particularities of the zodiac sign within the times in which these constellations are occurring, right? And so right now, right at the beginning of this age of Aquarius, we're getting this stellium in Aquarius. And these are the 2 features, the first one being the swift changes, okay? So that means that when we're in this kind of intense energy, this is going to be happening through the month of February. So work with this energy through the month of February. That's how it's going to better catapult you for the rest of the year. The swift changes aspect means that this energy can come in and it can literally flip your plans upside down, left to right. You can be left not even knowing what the heck was going on. The changes could be that quickly. And the image that I'm getting of what this means, giving you a concrete example, is kind of like a tornado, all right? So when a tornado touches down, it just annihilates everything that's around it, okay? Just completely, the tornadoes have the ability to just completely decimate entire towns. Whatever a tornado touches, it comes down, okay? And so that's the energy, that tornado type of energy is the energy that's coming in with this stellium. Now, I'm not saying this to frighten you. I don't mean to say a tornado is in everything's going to be destroyed. What I mean to say is that the tornado aspect of swift changes. So within a few seconds that a tornado touches down, everything changes, okay? So that swift change, that ability that a tornado has to completely level everything within a few seconds that it touches down, that's what's coming in this aspect of the Aquarius stellium, is this aspect of swift changes occurring very quickly, sometimes very dramatically, where you're kind of just left saying like, what just happened? What the heck just happened in my life? Okay, so it's that kind of energy, all right? So the swift change aspect is coming very powerfully in with this stellium. So just keep that in mind, and we're going to look into how to work with this in the tips in the second part of the video. But just keep in mind that this is a very, very important part of the stellium occurring right now in the month of February, is just its ability to just quickly change things in your life from literally 1 minute to the next, where your mind is left thinking, what the hell just happened? Okay, so there's the first aspect. One side note I want to leave here before I go into the second aspect. So here's a little side note, ding ding. The side note here is that this particular aspect of swift change, it's really focusing more on the aspect of solid plans. Okay, so I wanted to leave this here because this kind of just fell on my head. So I wanted to leave this here before we move on. So what this means is that this swift changing kind of tornado energy is really going to be looking around for any solid plans that you have in your life, and that's where the tornado is going to strike, okay? So think about any solid plans that you think you have in your mind about how your life or how your year of 2021 needs to go, or how your life needs to go, what needs to happen right now in your life. If you have any solid plans, this stellium energy is saying, hey, there are no solid plans in life, okay? Ding, ding, that's what this stellium is saying. There are no solid plans in this life, because life is constantly moving, life is constantly flowing. And what this stellium energy is saying is that sometimes we have really solid plans up here, but that doesn't end up being what life wants for us, okay? So I wanted to leave this here. If you have within you any solid plans, any expectations, oh, there's another word that just fell on my head right now. If you have any expectations, any solid expectations on things that need to happen, or you think need to happen in your life, start to breathe into that, okay? Start to breathe into that, because there may be a possibility that this stellium energy comes in and says, those aren't really solid plans. Don't be ridiculous. Let go of all expectations, okay? So that's where that stellium energy is going to be focusing on. If you have solid plans, if you have expectations, let go of those mental expectations so that this energy comes through a little bit more smoothly for you. And we're going to get into the tips on part 2 of the video. The second aspect of this stellium in Aquarius that's really playing out right now is mental intensity. All right, so mental intensity, because again, Aquarius has the element of air. Air is the element of the mind and thought, okay? So this stellium is going to come in, all these 7 planets lined up in that Aquarius to create that stellium energy. It's going to kind of ramp up mental intensity. So a lot of times what happens is during these periods, especially in this one, when we have so many planets lined up, this one is really going to push the notch up in terms of intensity of the mind. So this means that you can find yourself having really incoherent thoughts, having a lack of concentration, feeling mentally unstable, not unstable in the sense that you're insane, but unstable in the sense that your mind is just all over the place, thinking a million thoughts a minute. So there's a lot of this mental stuff, a lot of ruminating thoughts. So maybe your mind is just stuck on thinking about something that happened to you 10 years ago, and it just does not let go of those ruminating thoughts. So ruminating thoughts can be another one. A lack of concentration I already talked about. Just excessive thoughts that your mind can't seem to quiet down. This mental intensity is is going to be something that's going to be ramping up here for this stellium. It's already occurring as I'm shooting this video. And so what it feels like is this Aquarius air energy is coming through the mental body. So you can think of this energy coming right through the mental body. And as it's doing that, it's lighting up all your neurons. Okay, so you have billions of neurons in your head, and the stellium energy just comes through and it starts to light up all of those neurons. Okay, so it can feel a little unstable mentally for you. All right, so this is again, we're going to talk about how to work with all this energy, but this is the second important characteristic. So if you're feeling this right now, like if you're at work and you can't concentrate and you can't think straight, and your thoughts are just all over the place, you're ruminating a lot, it's probably because this energy is really affecting you. Pro tip here, pro tip ding ding, if you're an Aquarius, if that is a part of your chart, if you're an Aquarius sun, if that's your rising star, if that's your dominant zodiac sign, then you're going to be feeling this even more than the rest of us, all right? Because this stellium is occurring in your sign, in your zodiac sign, okay? So that's a little pro tip for all the Aquarius out there. So this mental intensity is going to be ramping up here in the month of February. So just know, now that you're watching this video, you're going to know that if this has been happening in your mind, now you know why, okay? So these are the two characteristics that are really most prominent right now with this stellium in Aquarius. And now let's get into exactly how to work with these characteristics, because they can present a little bit of challenges sometimes for us, all right? But after watching this video, you're going to know exactly how to work with this energy. Okay, on to part 2 of the video, how to work with this stellium energy. All right, so I have 4 tips for you, my top tips on how to work with this really intense energy. The first one being to go with the flow. I'm sure you knew I was going to say this in one of my tips, right? Go with the flow. Okay, so let's bring back the image of that tornado. If a tornado actually touches ground right where you are, can you control that tornado? There's no way you can control a tornado. So when a tornado is about to touch down, you just go down for shelter underground. That's the only thing you could really do. You cannot control a tornado. It's more powerful than you. And so that's the image that I want to leave you here in this step, is to learn how to go with the flow, to just release your grip, be flexible with life, be flexible to changes. And one of my favorite ways of doing this is by using what's known as Wu Wei. So Taoists call it the art of Wu Wei. All right, this is coming from China, Chinese Taoism. So they talk about something called Wu Wei, and Wu Wei, roughly translated, means literally going with the flow or going with the grain of life, okay? And I want to give you a practical example of what Wu Wei looks like in the real world, okay? So the example is of cutting wood, all right? If you have ever cut wood by hand, not with a machine, but by hand. If you've ever cut wood by hand, you'll notice that wood has a grain, okay? So there's a grain to wood. If you cut wood with the grain, it feels like you're cutting through butter almost. It's very easy to cut wood when you're cutting with the grain of the tree or with the grain of the wood. So that makes things so much easier. But if you try to cut wood against the grain, it is so much harder, and it requires an enormous amount of energy on your part to actually be able to cut through wood this way. Okay, so in Wu Wei philosophy, really what is meant is to say, start cutting wood with the grain instead of against it, because why would you cut wood against the grain? Why would you go against the flow of life? Okay, when you cut wood with the grain, it makes it so much easier and so much faster. So why wouldn't you do that? So this is what Wu Wei means, really. It's learning how to go with the flow of life wherever the flow of life is going, wherever the flow of life takes you. You learn how to work with nature instead of against it, hence cutting with wood with the grain instead of against the grain, okay? And what this means for your everyday life is that you're going to learn how to be just more flexible, learning to go with life. This Wu Wei skill is not easy, especially for Westerners, because we're programmed to believe that we're just going, whatever we want, we're going to get. Even if we have to blast through concrete walls, we're going to blast through all obstacles of life to get what we want. That's what we're trained to do in the West. But this is very anti-nature and anti-life. This is a very anti-life way of viewing things. Sometimes there are challenges in front of you and you have to go right through them. Sure, no problem. But a lot of times there's another way out. There's another way through the obstacle instead of just blasting my way through it and expending so much chi and so much energy and so much life force trying to bring a wall down, a concrete wall down, when maybe I could just look to my right and there's a door and I just open the door and I go and I cross the wall, right? Without blasting it, without using excessive force on my part. This is the art of Wu Wei, and this is very pertinent right now. If there's a wall, a concrete wall in front of you that life has put there, instead of thinking, I'm going to put dynamite there and I'm just going to blast right through it because life is not the boss of me, instead of having this kind of attitude, look at the wall and then start looking around for possible doors or ways to go through it that don't involve excessive use and fighting against nature, okay? Now, I know I'm giving you this in metaphors because it's impossible for me to give you all possible alternatives of things that may happen in your life right now in the month of February. But the point is to remember the Wu Wei aspect of this, which is I'm going to learn how to flow more with life. I'm going to learn how to live with ease. This is a good word. Ding, ding. This is a really good word. To live, especially this month of February, to live and go with ease. Okay, with ease. If I'm going over there, if I'm having, I don't know, an argument with a friend or an argument with my spouse, and I'm just really getting more and more entrenched, and I'm just going to blast through this argument, and I'm going to put my feet down, and I'm really going to be stubborn about it. This is not the time for it, okay? So just move your direction into an energy that presents more ease for you, okay? So ease, this is another word that's coming through very, very strongly. Learn to go with the flow. Learn this art of Wu Wei, of looking for our alternatives that are more energy efficient. The energy efficient is big, right? Energy efficient is important right now because the human form has a limited amount of chi. And in times like this, when the energy is so, so powerful, it's important for us to use our chi effectively, all right? And in an efficient way. Efficiently is another word, okay? So this Wu Wei comes in as an important aspect for you to learn how to go with the flow, at least the month of February. Go with the flow. I'm not going to bang my head against any walls. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to blast through walls. I'm going to slowly move wherever life is naturally taking me. Okay, so going with the flow, that's the first aspect, the first tip for you on how to work with this energy. The second tip is to be open to changes in direction. Okay, this one is important. Now is not the time to be stubborn. Now is not the time to have really high expectations and solid expectations or goals of what you think you want for your life, okay? Now is not the time because things can really change. So don't be stubborn. Do not entrench yourself in any plan, any expectation, because again, if that hurricane comes through and it's more powerful than you, it could just blow right through everything. and then you can be left suffering a lot because your expectations have been broken. All right, it's always more painful when my expectations are shattered than it is if I don't have expectations at all. Right? Like there's nothing for me to suffer if I have no expectations, because expectations are a form of attachment, and whenever I'm attached to something and life comes in and just blows it away, it can cause a lot of suffering in me. Okay, so instead of having expectations that may then disappoint me, don't have expectations to begin with. Okay, not a time to be stubborn right now. Right now it's a time to be adaptable. So really focus on cultivating adaptability. All right, knowing how to move. So if life pushes you to the right, I'm going to adapt to the right. If life pushes me to the left, I'm going to adapt to the left. Okay, so this adaptability skill is really important right now. Learning to go wherever it is that life is taking you in an adaptable way without clinging to any expectations or solid plans. Now is also the time to be forward focused, okay? Forward focused, not backwards focused on what I'm losing, on, the disappointment that my expectations have been shattered. I'm just going to sit here and ruminate on that for the next 2 hours. Not the time for that, because the energy is really, really powerful. Don't ruminate. Whatever's leaving needs to leave, and it's leaving in your highest good. And you're just going to remain adaptable to be forward focused, seeing where life wants to take you. Okay, so this is an important aspect. There are a lot of changes that may occur in your life very quickly, so you have to learn how to adapt to change really well without fear. All right. Now, for more on how to adapt to change without fear, how to navigate change without fear, I actually shot a whole video on that. So I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description box below if you want to watch after this one, to go deeper into how to navigate change without fear, without suffering, without any of that. That's a great video you can watch after this one. The third tip on how to work with this stellium energy is to ground your energy. Okay, so very powerful air energy that's coming through. We've talked about that already in terms of the element of Aquarius. And so because this energy of air is so powerful, it's being propelled by 7 planets in this stellium. That means that it could be great. Having that much air, that much movement can be great, because it means that I can expand into areas that I never thought possible. More on that in a little bit. But the flip side of that coin is that I can also blow away if I'm not grounded, okay? So now is a time to really ground your energy so that you can weather that air energy coming through, and so that air energy doesn't short circuit your brain, okay? So ground yourself. Take your shoes off and walk on the beautiful bare earth. Go out in nature, especially by trees, commune with trees, dance and pound your feet on the ground and just connect with the earth. Seek silence, okay? So make sure you have silence throughout your day, at least some silence, so that it could counter the excessive mental chatter. The more noise you're surrounded by, the more that mental chatter is going to kick up, all right? So seek moments of silence in your everyday life. Seek alone time, have some alone time for yourself every day, so that you can just sit and meditate, just contemplate and ground your energy more and more. Okay, so these are just some tips on how to ground energy. Do a lot of grounding activities, be very connected to the earth. The more grounded you are, the more that air energy will pass through, and it'll only take things that are necessary, but you'll remain nice and stable throughout the whole movement, okay? Now, to help you ground during these times, because I know this energy is pretty intense, so to help you ground, I have 2 free guided meditations for you that are on my website. One of them is called the First Chakra Healing, so you could do that meditation. You could download that. They're both free. And the other one is called the Earth Star Activation, which is a chakra that's below your feet that's actually responsible for keeping you tethered to the earth, all right? So go over to my website. I'll leave a link to the free resources page on my website in the description box below. You can go on that page, scroll through it, find these 2 meditations, download them, and you can use these 2 meditations every day in the month of February if you want to help ground that energy along with the other grounding activities that I recommended here. Tip number 4 is to expand your vision. Okay, so this energy is, although it's really intense, it's also wonderful for reaching far beyond you ever thought possible, okay? So this is the time when you could really start to cultivate what's known as things beyond your wildest dreams. All right. So when we say, oh, that happened right there, it was totally beyond my wildest dreams. What we mean by that expression in English is that thing that happened was totally beyond anything I had imagined in my mind for myself. Okay. That is precisely what you should be cultivating right now in this energy. Expand your vision. Learn to see more and more for yourself than you ever thought possible. This is a great time for expansion, for expanded vision, all right? And the example that I love to give of this is the example of a windsurfer or a kite surfer, okay? So the windsurfer or the kite surfer, they do not sit on the beach complaining when it's really windy. What do when it's windy? They go out on the ocean and they just keep going and they take advantage of the wind to actually propel them further than they could ever possibly go without wind. If there's no wind, a windsurfer doesn't even go on the water because there's no point, right? So use this energy in the same way. Expand, move with the energy like that windsurfer moves with the wind, okay? The more that you can expand your vision, that you can train your mind, and not just your mind, but it's actually connecting more to your heart, because your heart contains these more expanded visions that your mind has no idea that your heart even has, or that your soul has. Another way of saying this when I'm talking about expanded vision is to learn how to connect more with your soul's plans, because your soul's plans for you are always much more than your little mind can imagine, okay? So connect to this expanded vision. Learn how to see beyond, bigger, more than you ever thought you could. If you can use this energy and you learn how to be, again, very forward thinking. I'm not looking back. The windsurfer's not looking back. Windsurfer's looking ahead. The kite surfer is looking ahead. The kite surfer's just taking advantage of the power of the wind to propel them forward. And so that's what you do. You're going to be forward looking, expanding your vision and saying to the universe, what does my soul have planned for me that I'm not seeing right now? Ask these questions. These are great questions. What does life want for me that I'm not seeing right now? And just if you ask these beautiful questions, you can even have a journal out. If you ask these beautiful questions, you're going to start to be given these visions on where your life could possibly go, and it could be way different from what your mind thinks, and way better than what your mind thinks, because 100% of the time the plans of the soul are always better than the plans of the mind. So learn to go with that, all right? So remember this image of the kite surfer and the windsurfer propelling you. Use the wind, use the air element of this Aquarius stellium to propel you forward beyond anything you have ever imagined for yourself. All right, beautiful soul, now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below if you are feeling the intensity of this stellium energy right now. Let me know in the comments below. Click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or head over to my website to download those popular guided meditations. And don't forget this video that I talked about in this one. That'll be a great one for you to continue. All right, beautiful soul, I love you. I'm out.